If you'd like to follow the process of turning a block of wood like this into a guitar like this, then you've come to the right place. And if you would like to see me give this guitar away, click subscribe, hit the bell. I want to just go ahead and trudge forward and build custom guitars and give some of these guitars away to people who would really appreciate it. Dave Rasan asked him if it would be okay for me to pursue making that guitar, and he said that I have his blessing. Don't let it intimidate you. Just have at it, work at it, and it'll come along. There it is on one of the actual body fronts. Hey guys, I am just sitting at my computer working on doing some editing of this video, and I've got a few things that I want to share with you. I'm going to share with you a video clip of a young guitar player out of Montana that's become kind of a good friend of mine, and also in this episode, I'm going to share with you a little bit more of how the progress is coming with that white cloud style, print style guitar that I'm building, and some things that inspired me on that. But also at the end of this episode, I'm going to share one of your guitar building stories. And this is a segment that I want to bring into this series where you can share your guitar building story. I want to know what inspired you to build it, what inspired the shape, whatever that might be, or what it's like and how you finished it. I want you to tell about the challenges that you faced, the mistakes that you made, how you fixed those mistakes on the guitar, and also then to send us some pictures that we can share. Now, today I'm going to share with you some pictures of a guy's guitar that he built. That when I saw pictures of this on one of my guitar Facebook pages that I follow, I just thought, man, this is a beautiful guitar. I just love the shape and I want to know more about it. So I contacted him to ask, hey, would you be willing to be the first one to share on here? And he said, yeah. So he's given me his story on that, and I can't wait to share that with you. Before we do that, I want to kick off today and tell you about this young friend of mine named Noah and how we got connected and a little bit of his story. So when I first got started building guitars, and then specifically building these cloud style guitars, I would record the guitar build or take some pictures and maybe have a friend of mine play the guitar, and I just put some of those up on my family YouTube site, just kind of a family thing, so not intended really for other people to see those. But Noah found them because Noah is a big fan of Prince. He's a guitar player, and he found me on there. He contacted me. He was wondering how much would it cost for me to build one for him. And for a young teen at the time, they were just too expensive. And I don't sell them anymore, but there was a while that I did. They're costly for a young guy to buy. Let's just put it that way. But we stayed in touch. And when I would get done with building a guitar, I would send him some pictures and he'd take a look at it. And then Noah got a hold of me one day, and he was just saying how he was really, really sick. And so I said to him, I just said, hey, Noah, I'll be praying for you. And after that, he would stay in contact with me a little bit more, and he would share with me what was going on with his health, tell me how he was sick, his kidney, he had a kidney that was failing, and he would tell me how I could be praying for him. And the thing was, I did pray for him. And anyway, I followed his story as he would send me pictures, and we'd talk guitars and stuff. And then he had to go a long ways over to I believe Salt Lake City, Utah for surgery, and he had to have one of his kidneys removed. And he was just a sick young guy, and my heart went out for him. And he just opened up with some of the things that he was just kind of scared about in the surgery and some of those things. And I knew that he really wanted one of these cloud style guitars. And in the worst way, because my heart's going pouring out for him. I really wanted to give him one, but the reality, my reality was I couldn't afford to just buy the parts. I could build one, but the money to buy the parts. Now I know, guys, you can go to a guitar store and you can find guitars on the shelf for $100. And I don't even know how that's possible, other than they come from a foreign country where the people get paid very little. The point is that just one of the guitar pickups, one of these EMG pickups in the guitar, costs more than that. Just for one pickup, let alone the rest of the body. So I wanted to do that. And long story short, his parents and I talked a little bit, and his parents offered to pay for the parts for me to buy so that I could build him this guitar. So I got to build Noah this guitar. He sent me a picture of the guitar. Here's the guitar. There's the picture. But I want you to hear him play. And he is playing a Prince-style guitar solo. Now, I asked him to make it different enough from Purple Rain so that we didn't get tagged as infringement on copyright, because I don't want to do that. So he did something in that style. So if you go, well, this sounds like Purple Rain, but it's not, well, that's why, is because I told him not to. He did play a Purple Rain solo and submitted it to Paisley Park for a competition, and he won. And so really proud of him. He's a good guitar player, way better guitar player than what I am. But anyway, here is Noah Payne from Montana playing a guitar that I built. I'm not exactly certain how other people make their back plates, but I did not record myself making these back plates, because this is the one thing that I do that I always walk away from thinking, okay, if I keep my fingers and I don't get cut, I'm doing well. And I don't want to give anybody else much of an idea of how they might do these back plates the way I do, because I don't want anybody to lose their fingers because of me. And so they still have the plastic on them, so they look a little bit rough at the moment. But I will go ahead and get these put in place. I'm going to cut out the foam that I will be putting in here, and then I'll put the battery in. The battery will sit right in there. Get these put on, so that's finished and looking decent. And then we're going to move on to probably the truss rod plate.
Tonight, the rhythm will make it right.
Next on the agenda is going to be to put on the Schaller strap locks and drill the holes for those first. And so for the very first time, I'm going to introduce the strap that I bought just for this guitar. This might be a really good time for a flashback. We're walking down now to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was supposed to make this trip with a couple of my friends last year, well, 3 of them, with Ron and Corey and Mark, and that trip just kind of fell through. But it's been on the bucket list, so to speak, for quite a while to go through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't know, see what unknown surprises we might find.
And if they have a cloud guitar and it's a fake one, Steve will know.
Well, if there's a cloud guitar there, I will be able to tell about it. We saw this car on U2's Zoo TV tour.
What are your most favorite and what are you excited about?
I'm kind of surprised, actually. I know some of you are going to think I'm a real dork, but I'm almost finding myself crying seeing some of these guitars. This is Stevie Ray Vaughan's primary guitar. I can't believe I'm actually seeing it in person. It's kind of emotional for me. It's really crazy cool. So, yep, I didn't realize it would affect me like this. So my final thoughts on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was it was well worth it. I was really surprised, actually. I thought I might like it because I'm kind of a music nerd, so I enjoy that kind of stuff, but I actually thought I was going to cry a few times, which was surprised me. Anyway, it was pretty good. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Cleveland, Ohio. One of the few things that I did buy at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was this guitar strap. Anyway, it's going to go on the cloud guitar, one that I'm finally going to keep for myself, I believe. So that's what that's for. Strap locks are on. Strap is there. Oh, by the way, I also did the truss rod cover, which I probably should have filmed, but I don't think that I did. But anyway, I cut that out and then polished it, attached it. We are getting very close to being done with this. And now it's time to share one of your guitar building stories. And this guitar building story comes from Glenn from Michigan. He says, the story of the design and shape of my guitar goes back to 1976 when I was 14 years old, which tells me, Glenn, you're just a little bit older than I am. I was 6 years old in 1976. He says, I had discovered Queen a couple years previous, and I devoured everything related to the band, which included racing to the magazine stand every month to purchase the new issue of Cream magazine. In one issue, there was an article describing how Brian May and his father had built the Red Special, and I knew that I had to build a guitar. And I can tell you, I know a lot of people that were inspired by Brian May's guitar build. I know I was. By the way, if you look on YouTube, there's a fantastic video where Brian's talking about that build. I think they built it out of a table, if I'm remembering it right. Anyway, Glenn goes on to say, he says, I wanted to pay tribute to Brian's guitar without simply copying it, and I came up with what you see in photo number 1. So here is photo number 1. And yeah, you can see in photo 1, you can see, yeah, there's a flavor of Brian May's guitar there, isn't there? It has since been refinished. There's a new neck, and I installed better hardware and a new pick guard 6 years ago, which led me to build my second guitar and many more since. When redoing that first guitar, I realized that at age 14, I had not followed any standards regarding size other than scale length, and built a guitar that fit a 14-year-old boy, and it's small. When building the next one, as an adult, I scaled up the size to fit any Jaguar Jazzmaster case. I used the neck from the original and built what you see in photo number 2. So photo number 2. All right. Yep, it's a 5-string for open G tuning because the neck was so small. After building about a dozen or so guitars using that design, a customer who is strictly a sit down and play it on your lap asked me to add a large horn on the lower bout to accommodate his playing style. And that's photo number 3. And there is that style that I like. Yeah, I like this body style. There's some other pictures that I saw first of this body style that you're going to see here in just a moment. Yeah, it's unique. I like it. There's something very sleek about that. He says, and that's how we get to my now standard design. I should add that the only standard is the shape, as I carve every guitar uniquely and no two are the same. Hey, I understand that, especially if you're doing it all by hand. You kind of feel it, you kind of see it, but yeah, there's still a very general shape. So yeah, when you're doing this all by hand, it's very different than using a CNC machine, right? There's going to be uniquenesses. And also, when you're doing it by hand, there's going to be uniquenesses that you might see in the wood that might change the way you do the build just a little bit, which a CNC machine would never take into account. There is a place for a CNC machine, but there's something so much more artistic and beautiful about hand carving the wood with the grains of the wood. I take my inspiration for each guitar from the wood, he says it there, and I am constantly scouring lumber shops and the internet for unique pieces. The rest of the photos are just some examples of my guitars and the evolution of the design. So let me show you the first one of his that I saw is this guitar. And the wood on here is just so beautiful. And Glenn, sorry, but the first time I saw this picture, you had it side by side with another another picture of the same guitar, and you had fashioned a pick guard that you were going to put on here, and you were asking the question, pick guard or no pick guard? And I saw that, and I was like, no, 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 do not cover up that wood. That wood is too beautiful. Do not cover it up. So it looks much better without the pick guard. I'm glad that you stuck with that. And then there's this one, the most recent one that he did. Just drop dead gorgeous. Beautiful guitar. So Glenn, thank you for sharing your story with us. He also sent me a follow-up saying here are some of the backs of the guitars, and that he puts just as much effort and money into the back of the guitar as he does the top. So props to you for doing that. He says, I know it's the side that's almost never seen, but I like to think of it as its owner's little secret that he or she can keep from the audience. Thank you, Glenn, for sharing your story with us. Guys, if you would like to share, and gals, if you would like to share your guitar building story, we would love to have you send them to me. The link is below the video. My email is down there, and kind of what I would like for specifications and pictures, if you could send those, that would be fantastic. And I hope that we get a bunch of you sending in your stories so that we can share them. Love this. Glenn, thanks a lot.